So, you just spent all that time and maybe some good money swapping out your fuel pump, and now your car runs worse than it did before. Oh man, I know how frustrating that is. But hey, don't worry, you are in exactly the right place. Let's dive into this and figure out what's really going on.
If your car is fighting you on startup, if it's stalling out, or just generally running rough right after you put that new fuel pump in, then this explainer was made for you. We're going to walk through all the common culprits, one step at a time.
Let's see, do any of these sound familiar? Maybe it's taking forever to crank over, or it won't start at all. How about a rough idle, like it's about to just give up? Loss of power is a big one. And what about the fuel gauge? Is it just totally out to lunch now? These are the classic textbook signs that something went a little sideways during or right after that install. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the single most important clue you have. Then we'll check all the easy stuff first, the simple wins. After that, we'll follow the fuels path, and finally, we'll look at some common installation oopsies and what to do if, just maybe, the new part is the problem. All right, section 1, the problem after the fix. And here's the deal. The subtitle says it all. Your single most important clue. The fact that all these problems popped up right after you swapped the pump, that is the biggest clue in the world. It basically screams that the problem is tied to that job you just did. So, before you grab a single tool, before you even think about tearing anything apart, again, there is one test you should really consider. This one thing can save you a world of headache and guesswork. It's really the key to figuring out what's going on. And that test is a fuel pressure test. Now, this is so important. A fuel pressure test tells you a ton. It tells you if the pump is even working, right? Is it making pressure? Is that pressure correct? And, this is a big one, is the system holding that pressure when the car is off? You can usually rent a gauge from most auto parts stores, so it's a pretty accessible test. Okay, let's move on. Section 2, check the easy stuff first. I love this part because we're hunting for that easy win, that thing you can fix in 5 minutes and be done with it. First things first, let's prime the pump. Sometimes air gets trapped in the fuel lines when you do the swap, and that can cause all sorts of problems. So here's what you do. Just turn the key to the on position. Don't start the engine, just on for a couple of seconds, then turn it off. Do that 2 or 3 times. What you're doing is letting the pump run for a second, pushing fuel through and purging out any air. Then go ahead and try to start it. All right, next up, the super simple electrical stuff. Pop your hood, find the fuse box, and look for the fuel pump fuse. Little tip for you. Sometimes it's labeled EFI, which stands for electronic fuel injection. Pull that fuse out and take a look. Is it blown? And while you're in there, just give the fuel pump relay a quick look too. Seriously, this is a 5-minute check that could solve everything. And the third easy check, the wiring. Just go back to that main plug for the fuel pump. Did you hear it click when you pushed it in? Is it on there nice and snug? Give it a little wiggle. Also, look at the wires themselves. Did any of them get pinched or stretched when you were putting everything back together? A bad connection is the same as no connection. Okay, so if none of the easy stuff worked, don't sweat it. We're moving on to section 3, troubleshooting fuel flow. Now we're going to think like a drop of fuel and follow its path from the tank all the way to the engine. And this right here is probably one of the biggest gotchas, a clogged fuel filter. Now, you might have an in-tank filter, which hopefully you replaced when you did the pump, but a lot of cars also have a second filter, an inline one, usually mounted on the vehicle's frame. It's so easy to forget about this one. And what happens is your new, powerful pump starts pushing fuel, and it immediately jams up that old, dirty filter. The result? The engine is starved for fuel. Now, here's a specific symptom to listen for. This quote nails it. If you shut the vehicle off and it has really long start times, you might have a bad fuel pressure regulator. Basically, the car starts, but you have to crank and crank and crank it forever. That's because the regulator is supposed to keep pressure in the fuel line, and if it's bad, that pressure just bleeds away back into the tank. And here's the cool part. You can actually test for this without any tools. We're going to use that same trick as before. Cycle the key to on, then off a few times. You're manually building up the pressure. Then try to start it. If it fires right up like instantly this time, boom, you've almost definitely found your culprit, a bad fuel pressure regulator. This brings us to our last section, installation errors and last resorts. This is where we have to be honest with ourselves and check our own work, and also consider, what if the new part is bad? Let's just rapid fire through some common mistakes. Fuel gauge acting weird,
You might have bent or stuck the float arm on the pump assembly. Using the wrong gasket or O-ring, that can cause leaks or just a bad seal. Maybe some dirt or debris fell into the tank when it was open. That could clog up your brand new pump. And here's a really strange one. If the car starts, runs for a minute or two, and then just dies, try loosening your gas cap. If that fixes it, you've got a weird fuel tank vacuum problem.
So after all that, there's still that one nagging thought in the back of your head, right? What if? What if the new pump is just faulty, straight out of the box? Look, it's not super common, but believe me, it happens. And this is where we come full circle. This is the number one reason that fuel pressure test we talked about way back at the beginning is so valuable. It is the only way to know for sure. It's the ultimate proof. It tells you yes or no, is this new pump actually making the pressure it's supposed to? So how do we avoid all this drama next time? Here's your cheat sheet. Number 1, always, and I mean always, replace the fuel filter when you replace the pump. Keep your work area spotless. You don't want anything falling in that tank. Double, even triple check that all your connections, electrical and fuel lines, are tight. And a simple ECU reset isn't a bad idea either, just to let the car's computer know there's a new part in town. So after all this troubleshooting, after checking wiring and filters and regulators, what's the big takeaway here? What's the number one golden rule when you're facing a problem like this? It's this. Start with the simplest solution. Always. Don't immediately jump to the worst-case scenario. Check the fuse, prime the pump, wiggle the connector. Because more often than not, the fix is way simpler than you think.